Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to a new edition of our EKN Debrief. It is our podcast we use to do our full race report on the event that we were just at trackside. It is episode 83, Tuesday, August the 17th. And of course, David Cole, myself, Rob Howden, just coming home from the 2021 Superkarts USA Pro Tour finale, the SummerNationals at Newcastle Motorsports Park in Newcastle, Indiana. It was a tremendous weekend. We'll do a deep dive into it here. This edition of the show presented by Leading Edge Motorsports. Leading Edge Motorsports is the industry answer to winning in karting. At the helm is industry veteran Greg Bell, who has orchestrated the success of countless drivers dating back to the mid-1990s. Leading Edge Motorsports is the West Coast importer and factory team for IP Karting, which manufactures the ultra-competitive Praga and Formula K chassis brands. Leading Edge will be trackside at the Superkarts USA Pro Tour, California Pro Kart Challenge, Stars Championship, and Rock Cup events in 2021. Contact us today to book your spot under the tent. Visit leadingedgemotorsports.com for more info or find them on Facebook and Instagram. At Leading Edge Motorsports, winning never gets old. All right, David Cole, you made the trek up from Newcastle back to Grand Rapids. Tremendous weekend, and the crazy thing is, and we'll talk a lot about this, we'll do a quick little overview of the SummerNationals, but let's be real, August in Indiana, you could be ready for 85, 90, 95 degrees and humid. We were really lucky to get temperatures pretty much in the high 70s. Things kind of relaxed a little bit after a pretty warm week.
Yeah, the humidity was always going to be the question mark throughout the weekend, as we've seen that in years past at Newcastle Motorsports Park in August and even in late July. You never quite know what the humidity level is going to be, and that's what really kind of wears and tears on not only the drivers and machines, but also the mechanics and the families, and just kind of wears you down by the time you get done with the main events on Sunday afternoon. So thankfully, by the time Friday wrapped up, that was pretty humid Friday, pretty humid Thursday, as well as Wednesday for all the setup for not only Superkarts USA, but the teams. But come Saturday, kind of started to drop in humidity levels. And then Sunday was certainly probably the best day we've ever had in terms of weather at Newcastle. A good little breeze, no humidity whatsoever, sunshine all day long, no threats of rain. So really certainly was probably one of the best weather weekends we've had at Newcastle in a long time.
Yeah, Dave, we literally walked out of the hotel on Saturday morning at 7:30, and it was almost, you would call a summer chill in the air, right? It was you could feel that cool factor, and it was like, man, this is all right. This could be a good day.
It's what summer should feel like.
Hopefully, yeah. So again, folks, Superkarts USA Pro Tour SummerNationals, the final round of the series. The date was August the 13th to the 15th. It's Tuesday right now, of course, racing on Friday to Sunday. Newcastle Motorsports Park. The fifth and sixth rounds of what was a 6-round championship. Of course, the season kicking off back in March at the Winter Nationals in New Orleans, and then heading to Utah for the Spring Nationals in mid-May. Best 5 results count, so you got to hit all the events, but you are able to drop your worst race. 12th season of the championship, David. We were there when it all kicked off back at Sonoma Raceway for the first ever Spring Nationals back in 2010. As you said, though, great weather all told. No rain throughout the weekend, which was big as well. But, man, the bottom line was, we got down to some racing on Saturday and Sunday because there were championships that had to get decided.
Yeah, championships on the line, 2 rounds of racing. So drivers had the ability to not only improve their lead, but drivers had the ability to cut into the disadvantage that they were facing going into the weekend. So we saw a number of championships kind of tinker. We had a couple go down to the wire, a couple that were claimed a little bit early, be it at the end of Saturday or early Sunday morning. So a lot of different scenarios played throughout the weekend in the 9 categories that we had.
One of the things that any promoter wants at the end of a weekend is to get that last checkered flag and not have any red flags. There was only one this particular weekend at Newcastle, of course, running the bigger track, the Super Mile track, the 1.2-mile track that uses a majority of the national circuit at Newcastle, plus the oval section, the oval track as well. They go around the outside of the scale house and over what they call the ski jump into the 6-7 combination, the right-left combination. We did get one red flag. It was at the very start of the Micro Swift main event on Saturday. But then, David, no major injuries there, thankfully. I think both drivers were back the next day. All in all, though, from then on, we were able to stay with no red flags, which was, I think, a big thing.
Yeah, and again, it was a micro division, so you definitely want to take precaution.
Sure.
He was saying he was in pain, but came back and raced the next day. So again, just one of those instances where it was better to be safe than sorry. And so we did. They did shut down the event. I happened to be actually right there and get the cart off the driver. I cannot remember the name of the driver, but thankfully was able to come back and race the next day. So again, all in all, a safe event. A few incidents here and there. I think a couple of senior drivers went over in a couple of the categories, but everybody able to walk away, and that's the main thing when you look at the safety aspect of our sport.
Yeah, yeah, and shout out to you, David. Obviously, you were at the right place at the right time, trying to get some video of the opening couple of corners, 1, 2, and 3, and happened right in front. You dropped everything and were the first guy there and got the cart off and helped get the track cleared as they went to red. Anyways,
And those carts, let me tell you
I
this
know, David.
again. I'm
Good
going to go
timing.
into my weight
Go.
tantrum.
Yep.
These carts are way too heavy. We got to start reducing the weights in these categories.
Yep.
Micro drivers shouldn't have to have something that's 3 times their weight on top of them like that. And it's just insane. I mean, that cart was heavy. I had pulled 3 other carts off in turn 1 because I just happened to be in that area once the race got restarted. Pulled those carts off the racetrack as well too, because again, we only have 1 corner worker per corner. That's another issue for another
Yep.
podcast. But yeah, I mean, these carts are just getting heavier and heavier for some reason. I don't understand why we have the weights that they are. And I really wish the organizations, all of them across the board, 4-cycle, 2-cycle shifters, would really, really, really evaluate the weights and try and get it to where we're not putting on 70 pounds of lead on these
Yeah,
drivers.
and David, we've talked about it, and I know this is a quick little bit of a tangent, but just it's really easy. If you have a series and you have a category like Micro Swift, the first time you get, let's say you have 20 guys in the field, when they come across the scales, weigh the cart, weigh the driver separately, and if you go off the heaviest driver if you have to, or the second heaviest driver, whatever it may be, if everybody has at least 20 pounds of weight on their cart, take 20 pounds off the minimum weight, right? It's easy to do.
It's not hard. It's not rocket science. It's a simple math procedure. I have a math degree. If you want to hire me for $100, I'll do it myself. It's not hard. Let's get it done. I mean, seriously, this is just, it's getting ridiculous. And there's no reason why we as master drivers should be putting on 25 pounds of lead to begin with when we're at 200 pounds. It's just all that kind of stuff. It boggles my mind that we have one of the purest motorsports in the world, and we make it more and more complicated year by year by year.
Yeah, you and I always laugh at the fact that here we're coming across at like 195, 200 pounds, and in the masters class, you and I have to put on 25 pounds, and I'm 200 pounds. It makes 0 sense whatsoever, or if not more.
Wait, who's 195? You're not 195.
No, you're 195.
Yeah, I wish. Not now.
Oh, okay, all right.
It's been a busy summer.
All right. Speaking of numbers, let's do the by the numbers here. The Spring Nationals back in May in Utah, 221 entries. The largest entry of the season for the Superkarts USA Pro Tour was the SummerNats, 253 total entries. A lot of that coming in the Pro Shifter and Master Shifters category. But David, all told, 6 of the categories, the largest grids of the season.
Yeah, that's the key to the increase in overall numbers that we saw, as you said, going from 221 at the Spring Nationals to 253 for the Summer Nationals. And 6 categories of the 9 had their biggest showing of the year. So that certainly helps. Newcastle always does that. It's kind of that, it's the end of the summer. Let's go out with a bang. We typically see good numbers at Newcastle. We have since the Summer Nationals have been there since 2015. So, again, the younger categories, Micro, Mini, and X30 Junior, all 3 had their largest of the season. You mentioned the shifter categories. We haven't seen grids like this in a few years, where both Pro and Master had their largest of the season. And then KA100 Junior, again, getting above that 30 mark to be its largest of the season with 34.
Yeah, indeed. Strong numbers across the board always make for, again, great racing, number one, good for the business side of the sport as well. Not only for Superkarts USA, but when there's 250 racers, that means they're all trackside with a racing team and getting support, whatever it may be. So, yeah, great numbers. And Dave, to be real, awesome to see a field of 30 shifters again at a SCUSA Pro Tour race.
And again, we say it's the largest ever in the headline division, and you got to remember that's because this is a combination of Pro 1, Pro 2, essentially. So it is why we're seeing the largest ever in a pro shifter category. But just the fact that we haven't seen these numbers in a couple of years overall in the shifter category, with 30 or 44 total between the two categories. We actually had to split them up this weekend, when something we haven't had to do over the last 2 years. In splitting pro and master up on the racetrack, because there were just so many, and it made sense with especially with pro being over 30. It's kind of hard to kind of bring another class through after they've already left the grid, or even just to grid them up on that long, even the long straightaway that we do have at Newcastle. Very difficult to put 44 carts lined up in a F1 style starting procedure.
Yeah, since you're around the corner of turn 17 at that point too, right? At the start.
Yeah, well at the kink for sure.
Yeah, no doubt. All right, folks, our first break of the action here. Again, this is our EKN debrief as we do a deep dive into the Superkarts USA Pro Tour Summer Nationals, final round of the Pro Tour. Stay with us, folks. More to come after this break. If the dream is IndyCar, set your target on the road to Indy presented by Cooper Tires. Our ladder system is designed to take drivers through 3 rungs of competition. The first step is the Cooper Tires USF 2000 Championship, which features a carbon tub Tatis chassis, 180 horsepower, and a paddle shift sequential gearbox. Boost the USF 2000's output to 250 horsepower for the Indy Pro 2000 program, the second rung on the road to Indy. Add in increased grip and more aero downforce, and the Tatis PM18 becomes an incredible training machine. The final step before IndyCar is the Indy Lights Championship presented by Cooper Tires. The Dallara IL15 boasts a whopping 450 horsepower. This car itself has trained so many drivers in the IndyCar series. At all 3 levels, you race at premier venues on the same dance card as IndyCar. Showcase your skills under the watchful eyes of IndyCar scouts and owners. The program is unprecedented around the world, offering the opportunity to climb the ladder with over $2 million in scholarships to the champions in USF 2000, Indy Pro 2000, and Indy Lights. Former Carters fill the roster of Road to Indy graduates in IndyCar, like Joseph Newgarden, Pato O'Ward, Connor Daly, Jack Harvey, Felix Rosenquist, Colton Herta, Ed Jones, Charlie Kimball, Dalton Kellett, and Renus VK. Follow in their footsteps. If you want to race IndyCar, there is only one choice: the Road to Indy, presented by Cooper Tires. In karting, it's important to be supported by the right people. With over 40 years of experience in the sport, Trinity Karting Group has everything you need to make your program successful. We do it all, and we do it right. Trackside support and arrive and drive programs are available in 2021 for the USPKS and the Superkarts USA Pro Tour and Super Nationals, with full product sales and service and professional coaching from our experienced staff. Trinity Karting Group is a full-service operation based at the Motorsports Country Club of Cincinnati, which gives us access to our custom-designed driver training facility. This allows us to offer private, one-on-one coaching to take you to the next level. Trinity Karting Group is also your Midwest home for Tony Kart and IAME, and we're your source for MG and Evinco tires in the region. Tony Kart quality cannot be beat, so call us today to put you in a new chassis for your next event. From arrive and drive and coaching programs to the parts you need, let Trinity Karting Group provide you with customer service and a racing experience second to none. Trinity Karting Group has a long history in the sport, a winning pedigree, and we're dedicated to driver development. We take pride in our professional approach and our positive attitude. Let us build a custom race program for you. Give us a call at 513-421-4463 or check us out online at trinitykartinggroup.com. Welcome back to episode number 83 of the EKN Debrief, as myself, Rob Howden, and David Cole taking a deep look, a review of the Pro Tour Summer Nationals at Newcastle, capping off the Pro Tour. The Paddock Pass today presented by Acceleration Kart Racing. Acceleration Kart Racing has everything you need to go racing, from tires to helmets. They have a great website for you to order from, and kart racers ready to pick up the phone and answer your questions 6 days a week. With over 20 years of kart racing under their belts, Acceleration Kart Racing has the experience to help you succeed on the track. You can rely on them to get the parts you need when you need them. Make Acceleration Kart Racing your go-to source for everything karting. Head to www.shopakr.com. All right, David, our Paddock Pass section here of our Debrief podcast, where before we jump into the race report, we kind of talk about some of the stuff that maybe came up in conversations, stuff we saw while kind of cruising through the paddock, whatever it may be. One of the first things we heard about, of course, when we got trackside, was a number of the top team owners sitting down with Superkarts USA staff talking about the future of their shifter kart program, and maybe for the most part, talking about the continuing support of the KZ platform.
Yeah, obviously with Superkarts USA unveiling the SSE 175 and making that the essentially the shifter kart spec engine after the removal of the Honda 125 CR 125s, that's kind of been the discussion for the last several years. And now that Superkarts USA has brought in the KZ engine platform in alongside the SSE engine, it's kind of helped a little bit of a rebirth in shifter kart racing. And it certainly helped here at the SummerNationals, where we saw, again, record numbers. So it's good to have everybody getting together and kind of talking about what needs to happen moving forward, and how can we keep a grid of this size continuing for the Pro Tour moving into 2022 and beyond, and what needs to be done with the teams and competitors, and how can everything come together and work in order for it to survive.
This is something we'll most definitely stay on top of, because a lot of conversations with team owners, that's something we're going to do a little more of here over the next number of weeks to find out what's happening moving forward. But again, as we said, with the good numbers we saw, you have to feel that there is a good momentum moving forward. And it's always a positive to hear when the organization sits down with the team owners. They all have frank discussions on how they think they want things to move forward. So I think that was a positive for sure. Another positive, David, in talking to a number of the shop owners that we saw when we were there, just as an overview of the industry right now, similar to last year, and kudos to every one of you out there with a kart who is getting out there and racing. Record sales coming from a lot of heavy participation. There's a lot of good stuff happening right now in karting, even though we have some supply chain issues from Europe, and there's a lot of stuff happening in terms of just not being able to get some parts. But man, just it's always nice to hear that the shops are doing well and people are out racing. That's great.
Yeah, supply chain is certainly probably the only negative we have right now within our sport. We don't have a lot of negativity going around. It's been very positive over the last 12 months since we were there for the summer festival last year. Again, sales have been continuing to increase. When you talk to the shops, you talk to the engine service centers and builders such as Comet Kart Sales and Comet Racing Engines. They're just swamped with just endless amounts of customers looking to get, freshened up engine or a complete rebuild and getting their rental fleets up and going for all these major events. So, it's, everything's in a positive swing right now. And again, it's this having a supply chain issue that obviously has a lot of to do with the COVID-19 pandemic and other situations. But, hopefully with the, 12 months from now, all that will be kind of resolved, or at least kind of gone back to normal, and we'll be able to not have any issues with that. And it's not just, karting, it's businesses elsewhere around the world that are dealing with it. So we're not the only motorsports program that are dealing with these type of issues. I mean, you look at, just brand new cars, you go to a dealership, there's nothing on the lot because there's just nothing there. So it is. We're kind of in a weird situation. In my many years with the sport and in the journalism side of things, there's not a lot of negativity going around. There really isn't.
It's refreshing, isn't it?
It's a weird. It's like, are we in a twilight zone right now? Like, what's
Dave, let's be real. That you could feel that in the paddock, because normally when we roll into the paddock, people are like armed with questions or gripes. You know what I mean? It's like, I've been waiting to talk to you, Rob. I want to talk about this, blah, blah, whatever it may be, right? There's always that somebody's got something pent up, anger or whatever, frustration. It just seemed like there was a really good vibe in the paddock, and just even the racing itself wasn't too overly intense. People were having fun. It wasn't like, it just seemed like people were enjoying themselves, if you ask me.
Well, I think the racing was really intense when you
Of
look at,
course. Yeah.
especially X30 Senior. We saw a lot of guys, especially using side pods and front bumpers and stuff like that. But the vibe, yes, was different. That's something Chris Ortenberger said to us over the weekend. And I just read that note on the script, and I got to thinking, well, why is that? What is one factor? And I think one factor is that not everybody had to be there for 3 weeks. If you look, think about it. If you look in years past,
Compared to
USPKS
last
used
year.
to
Yeah.
no,
Compared to last year.
even the
Oh, I
last.
see. Yes.
Let
No,
me
you're right.
let me finish. Can
Yeah.
I finish? Can I finish?
Can't finish. Yeah.
Since we've been to Newcastle, it's almost been like teams have been there for a month getting ready for this race because we've had like WK Manufacturers Cup Series events there 2 or the week before. We've had USPKS events there 2 or 1 week prior to this race. This was everybody pretty much showed up week of, aside from some teams getting that using that test weekend last weekend or the previous weekend. And so they were really only there for about maybe 10, 12 days. So it when you're at a place for 3 weeks, you're kind of getting tired and bored of it. Even if it could be a vacation, you're like, all right, it's time to head home.
Yep.
I think you're the same way after a road trip of 3 weeks. You're like, I got to get home.
Yeah. 100%.
And so I think that helped. That might be one factor of why the vibe was a little bit different this year in the paddock. And the negativity's gone too. That's the other.
And
part.
when you first initially brought that up, I was thinking just about the festival from last year where they were there. Obviously from Tuesday through 2 full weekends. But you're right, David. For the past many years, it's been a USPKS race or WKA. There's normally been almost 3 or 4 races in a row at Newcastle. And you're right. We love being at Newcastle and all, but one of the beauties of our sport when you're a regional or national racer is having different racetracks to go to, right? Different places to eat, different hotels to be in, whatever it may be. But that's a good point.
Because we did have a gap in the schedule for especially a lot of the race teams because they were at Road America for USPKS, and then they either did regional or local racing up until the SummerNats. So that was a month-long period to where they weren't at an event for 5 straight days and then go home for 2 and then back to the racetrack again for another 5 days. So I think that little, almost like the Olympics break, like Road to India's had and IndyCar have done, it's kind of recharged everybody a little bit for that, for what's going to be the stretch run to close out the season. So I think that has a little bit to do with the vibe as well. Just not, it's scheduling. I think that certainly helped because it was a busy winter. It was a busy spring, and then the summer has kind of been a little bit more relaxed in terms of national racing.
I like it. And let's just keep it going with the positivity and a positive side. Saturday night, Superkarts USA doing a tri-tip dinner with Newcastle Motorsports Park involved as well. Free dinner for everybody. When it comes to tri-tip, I'm going to trust Tom Kutcher and Mike Adams. they marinated the tri-tip. They grilled it. You and I were dipping into the sample when they did on Friday night. God, that was good on Saturday night. I really enjoyed that.
Well, I've always heard about tri-tip. From California races. What is it, Santa Maria, where they typically
Santa Maria
have it?
rub. That's it.
And so I was like, all right, yeah, let's dig it. And as you said, we had that sample Friday, and I was like, oh yeah, I'm all in. And I think I had 2-3 servings on Saturday alone just to enjoy it again. It was a good change. We're used to that Friday. Every Friday we have the barbecue. So I think it was a good change. Let's do it Saturday night. It's been a long day. Let's chill. Everybody got to go inside the air conditioning. It wasn't too hot. So, the one time it wasn't scorching hot, we were inside, but that's fine. Right? But yeah, it's just a good change up. Again, you need a little bit of that every once in a while, rather than doing it on a Friday, change it up and put it up on Saturday.
Yeah, but I think SCUSA they did the taco truck last couple of years, right? And a margarita bar kind of a thing. And Tom said this, she goes, I don't want to do the taco truck. I want to do something different. I want to say they had 7. Did he tell us it was 70 tri-tips that they bought?
There's a lot of meat.
It was something like that, and it was fantastic. Bottom line was a great addition to the Saturday night of the event. Everybody coming in after they actually started serving, I think, as we were doing the podium presentations because obviously they went a little later. So it was just a great night all in all, trackside for that. And David, one last thing here in the Paddock Pass. One of the discussions we had And people just asking the question because obviously COVID-19's not gone away. Bit of another wave coming. We got the Delta variant, whatever it may be. People are getting kind of worried a little bit more. A lot of people asking us about the SummerNationals, right? It's going to be first week of December in Las Vegas. Is Vegas going to get shut down? Are we wearing masks again? I think that's one of the little uncertainties I think I picked up from that weekend was people wondering what the SuperNats were going to look like.
Yeah, obviously the COVID-19 pandemic's still here. We're still dealing with certain situations. Obviously, the Delta variant. I know everybody's tired of hearing it, but it's a reality. We have to kind of address it. Right now, kids are going back to school. That's one of the major focus points right now across the country is what's being done with protecting and making sure kids are safe. And so that this is going to be probably an ongoing thing. I don't think it's going to be like it was last year where, it wasn't really shut down, but it was still kind of a wait and see type scenario. I think this one, if we have to wear masks indoors or even if we have to wear masks at the racetrack, it'll be no different from where we were 12 months ago at Newcastle, where we were required to wear masks, whether we were inside or outside. So I hope that's that's going to be the only change. But again, it's still kind of a wait and see approach, and I think Superkarts USA is still going to do whatever it can to make sure this event goes on without a hitch. And if concessions need to be made, then that's what us as racers and competitors and teams and everybody will have to do in order to get back to Vegas and get back to the SummerNationals.
Yeah, 100% agree. All right, folks, another break in the action. Time to come back and start diving into some race reports. We'll give you our insight on the X30 Senior and the Pro Shifter categories after this break.
You want the best? You just got to roll with the best. Streeter Superstands. This is Jeff Wessel from StreeterSuperstands.com. You wouldn't put subpar parts on your racing cart, so why put that cherished ride of yours on anything but karting's #1 lifts and stands, Streeter Superstands. Streeter is the original and genuine manufacturer of the second-to-none Bigfoot rolling stands, stackers, uprights, and industry-leading Superlift. We also manufacture and sell the largest and always growing roster of trailer and shop accessories like tire, engine and jug racks, cabinets, spray can trays, bead breakers, and tons more to outfit any size trailer, team, and budget. Streeter Superstands has over 30 continuous years of experience. We're kart racers just like you and know that the Streeter name represents the absolute best in stands, lifts, and accessories for karting enthusiasts worldwide. Durability, affordability, unmatched quality, and customer service, that's what sets us apart from the rest. Check us out now at StreeterSuperstands.com. Roll with the best, StreeterSuperstands.com.
It all started in 1994 when former successful kart driver Albino Parolin decided to move his passion for karting from the track to his small workshop. That's when Parolin was born. Fast forward 20 years and Parolin's passion for the sport led to the company rejoining international competitions as a factory team in WSK and CIK FIA races, with the aim of enhancing the research and development process, immediately achieving notable results around Europe, North America, and Asia, becoming the CIK FIA Asia Pacific KZ champion in the same year. Parolin USA is North America's source for Parolin products, and we run a factory team at all of the major Superkarts USA and Rock Cup USA events. The Parolin chassis lineup for 2021 includes the Invader Shifter, the Le Mans Tag single-speed chassis for junior and senior classes, and the 28mm mini kart for the cadet classes. Parolin has been winning races all over the world, and it's on top of the podium in the USA as well, with drivers like Kai Sorensen, Mateus Orjuela, and Alessandro De Tullio. Get on the chassis that's winning. Drive a Parolin. For more information, head to ParolinUSA.com. Welcome back to our EKN Debrief for the Superkarts USA SummerNationals final round of the 2021 Pro Tour at Newcastle Motorsports Park. My name is Rob Howden, joined by David Cole. Thanks for joining us here. Again, this race report, time to dive into categories. This race report, this segment, brought to you by Trinity Karting Group. Trinity Karting Group is your first step on the ladder to racing success. Based at the Motorsports Country Club of Cincinnati, they literally have a track in their backyard and a controlled environment to develop your skills. Trinity Karting Group flattens out the steep learning curve with a professional staff that will put you on the right path. The focus is driver development, and they compete at the local, regional, and national levels. They have new and used packages available, and they are your Midwest source for Kart Republic chassis and IAME engines. Visit them at teamtkg.com or call 513-421-4463. All right, David, into the race report now. We got to cycle through these categories. X30 Senior, and let me give you the headline. We'll fill it in from there. Big one, of course. Greenmeyer gives RPG fourth straight class championship.
Yes, that was the major headline from the weekend that we in the X30 division. Certainly, the championship chase going in was the key aspect, as we had three Rollison Performance Group drivers going at it toe to toe with Hannah Greenmeyer, Brian Tyner, who was actually leading going into the weekend, and along with
Ryan Norberg.
Ryan Norberg, yeah, four-time champion Ryan. Four-time champion Ryan Norberg. So that was really essentially, how are things going to unfold? And Saturday was kind of a key aspect into that championship chase. It was, we lost one of them. That was actually Ryan Norberg contact in the pre-final. Took him out. Contact with Trey Brown, who actually got into it at the Spring Nationals. That took him out of the pre-final, and then more contact at the start of the final essentially took Norberg out of the championship chase. So kind of the attention turned to Hannah Greenmeyer and Brandon Tyner for rest of the weekend. In terms of on track, again, Rollison Performance Group up front with Hannah Greenmeyer setting fast time in qualifying. It was actually Nate Cicero winning the pre-final on track, but a pushback bumper penalty dropped him down to P4, and the result handing Jake Drew the actual race win. When racing resumed, though, it was Cicero that was able to kind of get away from the chaos that ensued over the opening laps of the main event. Cicero was able to get away from the rest of the field as Braden Eves, Indy Pro 2000 driver, and Paulie Massimino fought for the second spot. But really, Cicero just controlled everything, ran consistent lap times. Wasn't the quickest driver, but consistent lap times. Kept the gap big enough to cruise to his first SCUSA Pro Tour victory in the X30 Senior Division.
Yeah, big win for Nate for sure, and another Rollison Performance Group driver up top, right? You wonder which one of the three championship contenders were going to get the win. Ended up being Nate Cicero, who stepped up to the front, as you said. Braden Eves looking good on the Will Power Kart. That was a good scrap between he and Paulie Massimino. Cole Morgan had another good run as well. David up to P4, and Brandon Tyner thinking about that championship fight, P5 on Saturday. Still put him in a really good spot heading into Sunday.
Yeah, it really did. It put him, in the championship lead. I forgot to pull up my points, so I was going to have that as a.
He only had like 3-point lead coming in, didn't he?
Let me give it to you
on Sunday.
The lead was going into, well, when you factor in drops, yes, yeah. It was only a 3-point advantage for him. So Greenmeyer was able to gain in some points, obviously, as she took over the overall lead in the championship. But when you factor in the drops, it was Tyner who was leading by 3 points. So every session on Sunday was going to be very crucial.
Hard charger in that race. You mentioned Trey Brown getting together with Norberg in the pre-final. Trey starting back in 33rd, drove his way all the way up to 9th position, a 24 position improvement for Trey.
Yeah, again, contact with he and Norberg, so essentially took him out of the pre-final, able to drive forward in the main event to get a good finish to cap off the day with a top 10.
So obviously Sunday we roll into it, big day. Who's going to come away with the championship? Cicero kind of stepped things up and kept going, David, qualifying on pole again, although it was Norberg that was able to win the pre-final.
Yeah, again, RPG up front. We weren't quite sure which RPG driver was going to do it because Greenmeyer was right there as well in the pre-final as all three of them finished 1, 2, 3. A little bit of a chaotic start for the main event. Norberg starting on pole and Cicero on the outside. A little bit of contact there, dropped Cicero off the racetrack. He fell about midway point by turn 3. And then in turn 3, more chaos, and he was involved in an incident, essentially taking him out of the race in turn 3 on the lap 1.
Let's talk a little bit about kind of the way the championship battled out as well, because Brandon Tyner, who qualified 13, got in a pre-final wreck, and I felt all the way down to I think 36. David, that kind of changed everything, right? Greenmeyer's going to start still up front because she had a decent run in the pre-final. Tyner had a ton of work to do coming from the tail of the field.
A ton of work, and he put in the work. It was certainly a great drive for him. Again, not a great qualifying position, so it kind of put him in the middle of all that in the pre-final. So it didn't help him to do that, but to be able to come up from 36 and charge his way, and I think he could have got a top 5. But I think it was a little bit of contact on the last lap going through the scoreboard corner that kind of helped drop him even further back. So it could have been a top 5 finish for him, ending up 13th overall when the results were classified.
Before we jump into the final result, let's just say this about Brandon Tyner as well. He ends up with the hard charger, started 31st or 36th, I think. Makes his way all the way up to 13th. Actually, it made his way, David, all the way up to 7th. Like you said, he would, in the middle of a fight to potentially get a top 5 coming to the line, the contact there, he drops back to 13th. He's still the hard charger, even after losing those 5 spots coming through the scoreboard corner.
Yeah, I mean, it was, that's a thing with, the wreck, I think certainly helped him a little bit. He was able to get some spots early on, but really he was putting in the work, getting by drivers lap after lap. And again, it was just a wild, championship Sunday, last lap of the last race. You're going to see a little bit of fireworks. And I want to say there were about 8 drivers all going for the same position in the scoreboard corner. And it was just, unfortunately, he got the bad end of the stick on that one.
Well, it was interesting, right? So I'm watching Norberg out front. He ends up going to a 4.6 second lead. We're watching Greenmeyer because she's in the middle of a scrap, or she is kind of in that next group. That she's like second, and then she's back to 6th. And every time I look back down at live timing, there's Tyner, another 2 up.
Yep.
All of a sudden he's 10th. Then he's 8th. And I'm like, what is going on? Like, and you keep updating the Excel spreadsheet to find out where he needs to get to. Brandon put in just an absolutely tremendous drive. But in the end, with Norberg getting that victory, some of the chaos that happened on the track, Thomas Annunziata, an overall strong weekend for Annunziata. But Hannah Greenmeyer ends up coming home P3 on the podium, and the first woman ever to win a pro class championship on the Pro Tour, and only the second woman ever to win a championship, as Sabre Cook won back in 2012 in the S2 semi-pro shifter kart category. It was just a really big weekend for Hannah to come through. Because remember, David, let's throw this out there too. She talked to us about the fact that her ribs were sore as well coming into the weekend.
She did. That's the one aspect of the ski jump. It certainly doesn't help on the ribs going over that, and it's got that quick, left, right, left. And, we had a number of drivers complaining of ribs. I would think Noah Baker in the junior categories, he had some rib issues, some other drivers having some rib issues as well. And so she toughed it out. There's certainly no doubt in our mind that she has the will and determination, and certainly proved it by winning the championship.
Yeah, tremendous job for Hannah coming home in third. Thomas Nepfu making his debut with Trinity Karting Group and Kart Republic. Got quicker and quicker throughout the weekend, getting a feel for that new chassis. He ends up in P4. And Paulie Massimino, David, again, another weekend where Paulie kind of cements his name as one of the top single-speed kart racers in North America right now.
Yeah, he was in that fight with Annunziata and Greenmeyer and actually finished crossing the line in the second spot. But pushback bumper penalty put him back to 5th.
Indeed, championship ends up with Hannah Greenmeyer, P1, 50 points back, and Tyner 36 back. Of that is Norberg. So all in all, a pretty good year for the senior drivers in X30 for Rawlson Performance Group.
Yeah, 4th straight championship for RPG in the category. With 3 different drivers. Norberg picking up the first 2 for the team. Bryson Morris last year picking up both X30 senior and KA100 senior. And now Hannah Greenmeyer adding her name to the list.
Yeah, no doubt about it. All right, let's make a move to the pro shifter category. And obviously an exciting one to talk about. We're not just talking about 12 or 13 karts. We're talking about 30 drivers. And just before I give you the headline, just the overall of the pro shifter class, 16 of our top 20 in the EKN driver rankings were there. Then you go outside the top 20, there was like another couple more in the top 25. So this was about as good a field as you're going to get. It's a non-SummerNationals race with so many tremendously great drivers running here in the pro shifter. But here is the headline. Myers claims 5th win on season to claim record 3rd championship.
Yeah, we essentially had the championship in Myers' hand, winning 4 races in a row and over the first 2 weekends of the series. And it looked to be like he was on his way to the 5th. Set fast time in qualifying, winning the pre-final. Opening lap of the main event, though, Myers pulled off to the side of the racetrack as they were heading towards the I-70 corner with engine-related issue, and thus giving up his streak and providing an opportunity for Jake French to close just a little bit in the championship battle with a possibility of winning on the day.
Yeah, so Jake French goes out, and it wasn't one where he was out front and able to pull away, because it was French versus Andrew Bedozo, who is Myers' teammate at Magic Kart USA. And David, they battled. Bedozo was throwing it at him everywhere, trying to diamond every corner, diving it into the apexes. In the end, it came down to the drag race at the line. And the interesting thing, we haven't talked about this about Newcastle, where the timing stripe is really right about at the braking, where you start braking for a shifter kart. And both those drivers didn't lift. They went to make sure they were across the line before they lifted and got on the brakes. They both go off the racetrack at the end of the straightaway into the grass. Luckily, not into the barriers. But Dave, the margin of victory for Jake French over Andrew Bedozo, just 15 thousandths of a second. And Brent Cruz was right there to make it exciting as well.
Right there, making it exciting. I just saw the onboard from Brent Cruz on the Saturday main event, because he had a gap to them, but when they started racing and French went the defensive lines through a number of the different corners on that last lap, Cruz was able to be on both their bumpers as they crossed the finish line. French was on the outside, was he on the outside? No, I
think so. No, I think you're right.
Yes.
I think he was on the outside,
and he lit up the brakes. He put good skid mark on those Iveco tires as he was trying to keep it from really going off into the barriers. And Bedozo tried to make the corner, but went off into the grass. But we saw a number of finishes like that. I think Master Shifter was another as well too. And that's something, again, it's tough. You like a driver said, you just stay on the gas until your rear bumper has passed that line.
Yeah, and that, again, it could get changed. That would not be a bad idea to change it a little bit, but it does give a longer run down to the actual timing loop. Anyways, French with the win, Bedozo second. A really impressive run by Brent Cruz, the young driver for Leading Edge Motorsports in the Formula K. Cruz making his debut in the pro shifter kart category, the SCUSA Pro Tour. He ends up in third. Billy Musgrave on the factory kart in fourth, and Hunter Pickett finishing fifth. Watching Brendan Rusbarski, David, come through the field, he ended up being the hard charger on the GFC. Super impressive. 24 spots up. Probably got to think a career run for Brendan. 30th all the way up to 6th, and he looked really good in that main event.
Yeah, did really well. I believe top 10 finish both days, and obviously the Saturday performance was the highlight, being able to move up 24 spots in the 16-lap main event. So, and then the finish right behind Hunter Piggott, who we know is well established as one of the top shifter kart drivers in the country. So, and to do it again, as you said, against the field like what we had there, a really great performance by Brendan.
I don't know whether or not Rusbarski, because he finished last in the pre-final, so I don't know how many laps he got in or if he didn't get any laps. So he could have been on fresh tires, but regardless, it's still having to get the job done, coming by some pretty amazing drivers. And we'll talk more about that, because the similar situation for the hard charger in race 2. David, moving to Sunday, AJ Myers got to put Saturday behind him, right? And to be honest, really only needed a decent finish, those 4 race wins to start the season. Still had him in a great spot. But Myers just went back to being exactly who he's been for the last 2 years, right? As he dominated the action, qualifies on pole, wins the pre-final, and then essentially handles the main event as well.
Yeah, certainly handled it. Again, not completely, because again, came under pressure early on in the main event. We certainly dominated in qualifying and was able to drive away in the pre-final. But things were interesting in the opening few corners in the main event. Myers grabbed the whole shot, but Brent Cruz able to get off the line solid. got himself right into the mix and went under Myers at turn 3. A great move. Pretty much, I think, surprised Myers that he was going to be there. Great. And was able to power away with the lead for just a moment. Because after they came through the ski jump and hit the double right-handers, Myers went right back on the attack and was like, "Hey, buddy. I'm number 1 here." So was able to take back the lead there, and essentially just kind of ran away with the lead.
I love that. That to me was kind of like I'm the veteran dude. I've been doing this for a long time. you're new, you're a rook, and let's be real. That the move that he made, that Brent Cruz made into turn 3, totally just straight to the apex coming out of 2, tossed it in there, little midget car action, just a little bit of little body, little rubbing, and Myers gave him the room. But like you said, David, kind of followed him around. The minute they came out of the 6-7 combination into the double apex 8-9, boom, he was inside there again to take the spot back.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, I love the move by Cruz. You got to attack. And I think he's going to be one of those drivers that are great on cold tires. He's used to dirt racing, where you go out, you make a couple. You get the car started and you go. And so I think he's going to be one of those drivers to watch as he progresses, because again, he's only 13 years old, so it'll be interesting to see. But Myers, it was a little bit of initiation, I think, for Myers. We're like, hey, no, this is my spot.
Next year, the year after, buddy, I got this handled right now. The bottom line is Myers ends up going off to essentially a 1.2 second win. Andrew Bodozo able to get up into the second spot. Cruz, a strong third place finish, a couple of podiums there, which I thought were big. Musgrave, another P4. He was actually in a pretty good fight there with Cruz for a while as well. Musgrave was battling it out. Had an overall good weekend for Billy, with a couple of top 5s for his own factory kart chassis, the chassis he designs and builds himself. And then finally, to cap off the top 5, another driver with some issues in the pre-final, had fresh tires. But again, Cole Shade on the track magic. David started back at 27th after breaking a tie rod at the start of the pre-final. He was a monster coming through as well. Was deep on the brakes and was able to get to P5. He was our hard charger and put on a good show for the track magic crew.
Yeah, I think the start was let me see. Yeah, up to 20, so 10 positions just in the opening lap. So he was on the move early, got into the top 10 by lap 6 or lap 5 actually, and was just able to kind of pick them off one by one after that. Fast laps of the race. I don't think we had that with Brendan on the Saturday race. I'm trying to look where to go. Oh, I'm in the wrong race. That's why. But certainly tire management is obviously one of them. That's something Jake French mentioned. I believe when you interviewed him, was it Friday possibly after the
happy hour. Yeah, during the happy hour.
So because Brent Cruz had fast lap in the main event on Saturday, so it's still tire management. Yeah, you might have some fresh tires, but you still got to get by. When you have a field of 30 drivers like that, very tough to do. But Shade put in a performance after. I think he had a little bit of an issue on Saturday. Yeah, had a DNF on Saturday, so certainly helped to make the trek to Newcastle end well with a top 5 performance.
In the end, AJ Myers with the championship, Jake French in second, and Billy Musgrave third over the last number of years. That really has been kind of the go-to group of 3 drivers. Pretty impressive to see those 3 guys again in the top 3 in the championship. Time to go to another break, folks. When we get back, we'll continue with the race report presented by Trinity Karting Group. We'll talk KA100 Senior, X30 Junior, and KA100 Junior as well. Stay with us. More to come on this edition of The Debrief. All over the karting world, everyone knows OTK is the gold standard for quality and performance. In the U.S., OTK USA is the source for all things OTK. From the legendary Tony Kart brand to the race-winning Cosmic and Esprit chassis, and now the new Red Speed and EOS brands, OTK quality is second to none. All 5 brands are winning races and championships across the country in national programs like the Rock Cup USA Florida Winter Tour and the Challenge of the Americas, the SCUSA Pro Tour and Winter Series, and the Pro Kart Challenge, the United States Pro Kart Series, and the WKA Manufacturers Cup. And OTK products are also front and center on the podium of club and regional races from coast to coast. To learn more about a specific product line, you can find the OTK USA dealer near you, whether it's Tony Kart, Cosmic, Esprit, Red Speed, or EOS. Visit www.otkusa.com. Specific chassis territories are still available, so kart shops interested in adding a winning component to their product lineups can contact OTK USA directly. Fast, fair, and fun. Ignite Spec Karting offers you all of that at an affordable price. And the all-new IgniteKarting.com website provides you with the information you need to fuel your passion for kart racing. Ignite Karting is a spec kart that features the Margay racing chassis with a Briggs & Stratton 206 engine and a Hoosier R80 tire. Everyone in the junior, senior, and masters classes utilize the same Ignite K3 kart, which puts all the emphasis squarely on the driver. You can race the Ignite package from Margay at the local, regional, and national level. Special events for 2021 include the Ignite Majors, featuring events at the Charlotte Motor Speedway, Quincy Grand Prix, and Newcastle Motorsports Park. Those in the Midwest can enjoy the regional-based Ignite Challenge Series at tracks in Iowa, Missouri, Indiana, and Illinois. Local club programs have been established in Idaho, Texas, Nebraska, New York, Ohio, and Florida. All the information that you're looking for on events throughout the country and on all the Ignite kart packages, including dealers in your area, is available at IgniteKarting.com. Get off the couch and on the track this year. Ignite Karting. Fuel your passion. Welcome back to the EKN Debrief, our race report podcast of the Superkarts USA Summer Nationals, final round of the Superkarts USA Pro Tour for 2021. Rob Howard alongside David Cole. David, I'll get started here with KA100 Senior. Here is the headline. Garrison and Annunziata score career firsts as Morgan claims title.
Yeah, again, this was what we thought was going to be like 2019, and where things were kind of decided on the track and then off the track come Sunday afternoon regarding the championship. On the track, it was two new winners that we saw. Saturday ended up being Austin Garrison making what he called a little one-off for the KA100 senior category, something I don't think he has even raced before. I know, especially on the Pro Tour, he had not done any KA100 racing. So put on the helmet instead of doing the driver coaching and put in a solid performance, winning the pre-final, and then went on to drive away to a 1.1 second advantage in the main event. He had Ariz Dukmejian right on his bumper in the Kart Republic.
He was chasing Dukmejian for most of that race. Remember, he
for most of the race, yes, yeah. And then lap 13, Garrison pulled the trigger and took over the top spot and was able to fend off any challenges by Dukmejian.
Yeah, Arias had a pretty good run there, and I think as in talking to Austin, just kind of biding his time, taking care of his tires, was hanging around Dukmejian. He could feel him kind of starting to slow up a little bit. And again, as you said, lap 13 with 3 to go, Garrison made the move by and used those 3 laps to pull away to a 1.1 second win. So Garrison, pretty good run there. Dukmejian second. As I had said earlier, talking about X30 Senior, Thomas Annunziata was just really good all weekend long. Every time he rolled out onto the racetrack, he ended up finishing in the 3rd spot. Cole Morgan, for all intents and purposes, David, was a championship run there on Saturday. 4th place for him. Had drivers that could challenge him for the championship, but when it came down to it, and we'll talk about this in a second, it took Jace Park would have had to come in and been perfect on the day. 320 points on the day for an opportunity to win the championship on Sunday. So Morgan really locked things in on Saturday afternoon when he was able to finish 4th. Connor Ferris rounding out the top 5 in Saturday's KA100 senior action.
Yeah, Morgan had disqualification. He had to use. He couldn't use that as a drop, so he had to keep it. And so that was kind of the factor going in on the championship and how things unfolded. Jace Park was one of the championship contenders. Austin Osborne, we'll talk about him in a second. Connor Ferris, Nolan Allison, a lot of drivers were still in the mix, still had a mathematical chance before going into round 5 with a shot at the title. But Morgan did what he had to do. He beat all the championship contenders, with a 4th place finish. You had Garrison, Dukmejian, Annunziata, who had not driven a Pro Tour race yet this season. So, he was first in class, really, when you look at the championship chase, and that certainly helped him come Sunday morning.
You mentioned Austin Osborne on the Tony Kart. Hard Charger started back in 32nd, drove his way all the way to 8th spot.
Yeah, pre-final issues, was involved in an incident in that race, and something about Newcastle Motorsports Park and Austin Osborne, man, the guy knows how to wheel it around that racetrack, and 24 spots and 16 laps is certainly a great performance. Was able to power his way up to 8th spot to kind of keep himself in he was hoping to keep himself in the title chase, but it just wasn't enough to be able to do anything come Sunday.
So interesting on Sunday because Morgan elects to sit out, right? Essentially because Jace Park would have had to qualify on the pole to be able to get the full points. He does not. It ends up being very close, but didn't qualify on the pole. In the end, you look at the results, and it was all Thomas Annunziata. He qualified on pole, won the pre-final, and ended up getting the victory as well in the main. But it kind of didn't look that way to a certain extent, did it, David? Annunziata was perfect on the day, but we'll jump into it because in the end, it was a photo finish. And not only the timing actually gave it to Garrison, but the photo finish gave the victory to Annunziata. That's how close it was in the Sunday final.
Yeah, exactly. On paper, Annunziata had a sweep, but in reality, we thought it was Garrison who came out as the winner in the main event. Again, we're in the away from the start finish line, can't see anything. We're going off live timing, and it had Garrison winning by 0.005 of a second, according to the scoring loop over Annunziata in their great drag race to the line. It was a great finish. I don't think either of them went off. I think they were able to woe it down just enough to get through the corner, but a great finish nonetheless. And then we found out later, I want to say possibly the next race or the race after that race control had gone back to the video and looked at everything and noted that Annunziata had actually crossed the line on the videos. So he was awarded the victory by a photo finish.
Yeah, John Maskey, the race director, showed me the picture of it. You could see it probably by 5 or 6 inches. It indeed was Annunziata getting the win. And the way it all happened was pretty exciting as well because Garrison was actually third going into the final corner. Jace Park was kind of battling it out with Annunziata up front in the I-70 hairpin. Of course, everybody's making their moves. And it looked like Garrison was able to get the over-under and get a better run down to the straightaway. And as you said, the video showed it. But it was a wild final lap for sure, as all three of those guys were kind of drag racing to the line.
It was. And as you said, Garrison going from third to almost first in the last stretch was a great run by him. Timed it out nearly perfectly. Just again, photo finish, kind of taking the victory away from him and giving it to Annunziata, scoring his first Pro Tour victory.
Yeah, Jace Park needed a perfect day, but it was still up front. Wasn't able to get what he needed, but did show well. Ended up finishing third, as we said. Nolan Allison for Rollison Performance Group, a strong run to 4th spot. And shout out to Peyton Phillips for Core Karting out of Texas on the Red Speed. David, he was right in the middle of this discussion throughout the day. Top 10 driver throughout that entire race day. Ended up with a strong 5th place finish.
Yeah, was in the mix all weekend long, not just on Sunday, but was among those up front on Saturday as well, and put in a great performance all the way from Texas.
Especially considering the size of that field, right at 46 drivers. Hard Charger was actually Blake Nash, started 27th, and Blake able to race his way up to 7th on Sunday.
20 spots, 16 laps, more than one each lap. So a great run. Not sure what happened to him in the pre-final. I'm assuming some type of contact that put him in the back of the field.
So Cole Morgan with the championship in the KA 100 senior category, of course, came out of the gate very strongly at NOLA Motorsports. So good for him to get that title. Jace Park finished 57 points in arrears, and Nolan Allison with that good 4th place finish on Sunday, moving up to 3rd in KA 100 senior, the championship standings. Let's go to junior right now. And really, it's essentially all Morgan, David, in this particular segment of the debrief, as we're going to go into the X30 junior and KA 100 junior categories where Cole Morgan, or Carson Morgan, rather, able to get the titles. Here is the headline for X30 junior. Morgan repeats as champion with double win weekend.
The guy is on a roll. Or I should say the kid. The kid is on a roll. He is like butter, on a roll. And just... he did get shut out in qualifying. Christian Miles was able to score fast lap in the time session, but Morgan, again, just the racecraft this kid has is phenomenal. Knows exactly where he needs to be in the moment that he's at. Able to win the pre-final. Ended up being a fight between he and Kai Sorensen. Kai coming back from racing in Europe all season long. Those two were the top two in the main event. Actually ended in a drag race, or what we thought was going to be a drag race, to the line at about midway through the down the straightaway, just past the kink. We saw a little dust get stirred up. Morgan kind of dropping wheels off the racetrack as Sorensen actually reached the line first. Unfortunately, and you kind of interviewed him after that, he didn't want to say anything. and left it at that. But Sorensen reached the line first, but officials gave Sorensen a penalty for incident responsibility, and thus giving Carson Morgan the second victory of the season in the X30 junior category.
Yeah, so Carson Morgan takes the win. David Christian Miles able to advance up 12 positions to work his way up into the second spot after that penalty. Was third across the line, but it ends up taking second. Noah Baker, you mentioned him battling some sore ribs throughout the weekend, capping off the podium. Max Garcia fourth, and Sorensen dropping down to the fifth spot.
Yeah, good result for Max because, again, still in the championship chase, trying to keep up with Morgan. Unfortunately, the victory for Morgan helped kind of diminish any gains on the day for Garcia, but still mathematically in it going into Sunday, depending on how things unfolded.
Let's talk about Sunday now. Garcia, like you said, very much like Jace Park, having to kind of come in and really have a big performance. Garcia, I want to say he was almost the last guy across the line in qualifying. He needed those 10 bonus points to keep his dream alive for that championship, and he did it. He was able to qualify on pole position on the Will Power card.
Yeah, certainly taking points away and gaining or adding points to your total helped with Garcia on the pole position. Unfortunately, pre-final time, Morgan was able to step up and claim the top spot, so he earned maximum points in that race, and thus kind of putting the damper on Garcia's chances. There was still a hope, though, going into the main event, still mathematically, depending on where Morgan would finish and where Garcia would end up. And it ended up being a wild last couple of laps with 8 drivers in the lead pack.
Yeah, and somehow Morgan Morgan was down to I think 4th or 5th at one point. Somehow he's able to put himself in the right spot. His race strategy is very, very strong. His racecraft is, I think, really polished. Able to work his way in the right spot. And somehow, finally, he ends up getting himself back to the front again.
Yeah, fourth with 3 laps to go.
There it is. It's crazy, right?
Yeah, well, it was a great run. 8 driver again. They were all mixing it up, so it kind of gathered them all back up together because they were kind of in 3 different race groups.
Yeah,
and then so we saw 8 drivers there all together in the final few laps. But Morgan again was just able to put himself in the right position at the right time after getting dropped down to 4th. And then when they started fighting for second behind him, just gave him enough of a gap to cross the line first by 0.4 of a second.
Yeah, and shout out to Justin Adaconis. He was really strong as well. I think a really good move to the front of a national event like that. Adaconis was actually, I believe, second coming across the line, David, but a pushback bumper dropping him out of the top 5.
Yeah, he was the hard charger on Saturday. I forgot to mention that. Moved 17 spots, 25th to 8th. So certainly carried that speed over into Sunday. But again, just a pushback bumper penalty after crossing the line in second took the podium away from him.
Moves Max Garcia up into second. So again, a little insult to injury, right? He has such a good finish on the podium in second, but still not enough to be able to steal that championship away from Morgan. Jeremy Fletcher ends up finishing in the 3rd spot on the Tony Kart. Logan Toke was in the fight throughout the weekend as well. Toke was actually really good all weekend. And another shout out for a Texan driver who kind of made his national debut this year and has turned himself into a guy that we can see running in the top 10, top 5 on a regular basis. And that's Cole Kleck on the red speed for Trevor McAllister's Arcane Motorsports. Kleck, another great run, ends up P5, Dave.
Yeah, great way to end the Pro Tour for him. Jake Walker, our hard charger of the race, moving up 15 spots, 27th to 12th. So 2 hard charger awards for the Mike Doty Racing operation on the weekend.
In the end, Morgan wins the championship by 90 points, Fletcher back by 147. So the first of, actually, it would end up being the second of 2 because earlier in the day was the KA 100 Junior. We'll jump into that now, but Morgan, again, just a tremendous day and a tremendous overall season. Here's your headline: copy paste, David? Is that supposed to be?
Copy paste, yes.
Jesus. Paste from X30 Junior with Carson Morgan.
You didn't review it. You just filled in gaps that I left open. You got to edit sometimes.
Didn't read the entire script.
He copied
his past.
So he did copy the past.
Exactly right.
I actually typed out Control-C, Control-V, but then I was like, no, you'd be too confused on that.
Oh, 100%. That's what I do all the time.
So that's why I put copy paste because it was just easier.
Here's a redo of the headline: Control-V, Control-C, Control-V. X30 Junior from this year and last year. Yeah. So Cole Morgan again. There you go. So
Carson Moore.
Poppy pace from X30 Jr. with Carson Morgan. David, go.
Man, there's not much more we can say.
I know, that's right.
He didn't pull off a perfect day on Saturday. Jeremy Fletcher was able to score the top spot in the time session. Morgan winning the pre-final. It was actually him and Enzo Delaney that were able to get away from the field, which you don't typically see in K100 junior action, but those two were able to work together and pull away from the field. With about 4 laps to go, however, electrical issues for Delaney's engine put him on the sideline. That left Morgan out there all alone to score a 4.5 second victory for his second on the season.
Yeah, a lot of shaking around at the end there. Like you said, I remember it was good to have Enzo Delaney back in the Parallel USA entry. He was really a force throughout the entire weekend. I remember him rolling by me where we were in the Cooper Tire Broadcast Center between turns 3 and 4, and you could hear something was wrong, and he was done. But a lot of stuff happening as well. Elio Mesa actually worked his way up to second. He ended up getting removed from Tech. Noah Baker was P4. He had a pushback bumper penalty. David, it really kind of shook things up at the end. Morgan with a 4.5 second win. Fletcher ends up in second. Austin Jurors, who was in the championship fight on the red speed, in third. Jesus Vasquez Jr. in fifth. And Chase Hand, actually the hard charger for Chase, 5th place after everything that happened, 28 spots up, started 33rd and got his way up to P5.
Yeah, things in the title chase weren't clearly defined yet because, as you mentioned, Baker finishing 6th, so he came in as a championship leader, still in the hunt. Austin Jers finishing 3rd, still in the hunt. Chase Hand finishing 5th, still in the hunt, had fast lap of the race, so the 10 bonus points for him. Jeremy Fletcher finishing 2nd, still in the hunt mathematically going into the last day. So it's nothing was defined yet until Sunday's action happened.
And indeed, Carson Morgan getting out of the gate strongly, qualified on the pole position, won the pre-final as well. But the main event was a pretty good one, David. There was a lot of guys battling in that lead group, although Morgan was able to finally get away in the last lap.
Yeah, it was. We thought it was going to be a good finish. Unfortunately, again, drivers decided to fight for second rather than fighting for the lead. As Morgan led 14 of the 16 laps. So again, they had the opportunity to take him down. Unfortunately, they didn't for Morgan, as he was able to score his 4th victory on the weekend.
Jeremy Fletcher coming home in 2nd spot. Aiden Ingrata was in the fight throughout the entire race as well. He crossed the line P3, but a pushback bumper drops him down the field, moving Noah Baker up into 3rd, which meant the margin between 1st and 2nd in the championship just 47 points. Enzo Delaney coming back after that electrical issue on Saturday to a 4th place finish on Sunday. Cooper Shipman, he was right in there as well too. Cooper was throughout the weekend, turning good lap times. It's a bunch of fast laps for Cooper as well, but a good one for him to cap off the top 5.
Yeah, and our hard charger of the race was Jesus Vasquez Jr., moving up 19 spots, 29th to the 10th position.
Again, it's a 47-point win in the championship for Carson Morgan. David, 4 championships in the last 4 years. That's some pretty dominant junior action for Carson Morgan.
It's a great bow to his junior career, as he kind of mentioned to you on the microphone, as he'll be moving up to the senior ranks by the end of the season. So he said for sure SuperNationals he'll be in the senior ranks. We'll see if he does it prior to that at other events to close out the year.
All right, folks, another break of the action. When we get back, we'll continue with the race report brought to you by Trinity Karting Group, Master Shifter, X30 Masters, Mini Swift, and Micro Swift to cap off our race report. Stay with us. More to come. Established in 1999, PSL Karting has become a powerhouse within the karting industry for North America and around the world. PSL Karting is your complete source for all Burrell Art products as the North American importer, providing this top quality product through both their expansive dealer network or through the PSLkarting.com online store. Whatever you need is available 24/7 online, including safety gear, parts, components, and full karting packages. All 3 brands, Burrell Art, Ricardo Kart, and Charles Leclerc Karts, are in stock and ready to hit the track. Grab your winning chassis for any category by visiting PSLkarting.com to find your nearest dealer. PSL Karting is always looking for interest in new dealers and teams to help create new business relationships. Drivers looking to take their talents to the next level can join the Burrell Art North America race team, compete competing at all the major U.S. and Canadian events this season. When you're ready to win, go with PSL Karting.
Located in Mooresville, North Carolina, on-site at GoPro Motorplex, Kartsport North America features over 6,000 square feet of retail space. Along with being the official race team and distributor for the Kart Republic chassis, they offer full retail sales, kart service and storage, and products from the top brands in the sport such as CZ Chain, Talon Sprockets, SKF bearings, and Prisma tire gauges. If you want to take your racing to the next level, they also offer driver training and coaching programs available trackside at GoPro Motorplex. They have a massive inventory, so head to their online store at kartsportna.com to get same-day shipping of the parts and components that you need. While you're there, check out their used section of karts, engines, parts, and accessories. Kartsport North America. Top quality products, winning brands, and professional driver development services.
Welcome back to the EKN Debrief as we are giving our race report of the Superkarts USA Summer Nationals, final round of the Pro Tour. David, let's just jump into this and wrap them up. 4 categories. Master Shifter, and here is the headline. Kinnear returns for double win weekend.
0 to hero both days, which is, you typically don't see that. It's almost a Carson Morgan-esque performance by the veteran, now veteran Ryan Kinnear, getting up there in age. He's no young punk anymore. So,
True.
Kinnear actually making his 2021 debut. Hadn't raced since Rock the Rio back in November of 2020. So it's been some time since he was able to go wheel to wheel. Did some laps though in Houston at the Speed Sports Racing Park down in Houston. So got the rust shaken off early, but certainly showed no signs of rust when he was able to set fast time in qualifying. Actually won the pre-final. Unfortunately, was a bit too wide coming in off the racetrack for the pre-final, so was moved down to the tail of the field for the main event. So that gave Joe Rook. I'm just going to keep saying it. Rook.
Joe Rook. You got it.
Rouchet. I'm going to call him Rouchet. So Rook was on the pole position for the main event, and it was actually a really great one to watch. Had about probably 8 drivers all in the mix right there. Yeah. Had Kinnear getting through some of the back markers early on, so he was kind of trailing and back there in 8th, just kind of buying his time, picking one by one by one. As he got closer up front, and it was actually John Crow leading the majority of the way after getting the whole shot from Joe, and just made his kart super wide. Nobody could get around him. Nobody could get around Crow. It really was. I don't think it was until Evan Batt really put in a challenge that that sparked things up, and then Kinnear was able to get through there and then get around Crow for the lead, and then from there. Kinnear was just able to go on to score the victory. Evan Batt and Joe Rook were involved in a late fight for P2 or for P2, and contact in turn 1 put them off into the barriers there, unfortunately ending their run at a possible podium finish or even to challenge Kinnear for the victory. That allowed John Crow to go to the second spot with Nathan Stewart, putting 2 Super Masters drivers on the podium for the Master Shifter division.
Yeah, indeed. John Crow on the factory kart for Billy Musgrave and the crew ends up in the second spot. Nathan Stewart coming back from his first race since I want to say Las Vegas last year.
Same as Kinnear. Same as Kinnear.
Haven't raced in a while. So Stewart back in it with PSL Karting, and Burrell Art finishes 3rd. Jordan Musser ends up in the 4th spot. Of course, he is the championship challenger coming in with 3 race wins on the season, and AJ now rounding out the top 5 in the category. Kinnear, not surprising. He's going to win both of the Hard Charger awards as well, as he's coming from essentially the tail of the field in both races. So all in all, a good run for Ryan Kinnear. Jordan Musser out of the gate, though, pretty well to try to get that championship locked. David qualified on the pole position to start the day on Sunday.
Yeah, essentially had the championship locked up. There was no way for Skitchy Barnes to be able to take over the championship lead. Yeah. Based on Sunday's results, it just Musser had some engine issues on Saturday. He thought it was more related to his performance. They ended up changing engines and certainly sparked the speed that he needed to be able to contend, as you said, setting fast time in qualifying and then going on to win the pre-final as well.
In that main event.
Well, in the pre-final, let's talk about the opening lap. Kinnear and Joe Rook were
very true. That's really what happened. Yeah,
kind of allowed Musser to drive away to the win in the pre-final as they were involved in contact. I want to say in the cell tower corner, as they were fighting for position. So that put them at the tail of the field for the main event.
Yeah, Rook made the move down the inside in turn 10, the cell corner, and made some contact. It looked to me like probably just kind of on the exit, and both drivers ended up getting rolled off. They both pushed off and got rolling again, but didn't complete the lap. They both were stranded out on the racetrack, so neither finished the lap. But again, David, like you said, that really changed things to a certain extent, giving Musser a chance to pull away.
It did, and it gave him, pole position for the main event. However, Crow, great off the line, was able to grab the whole shot, lead the opening lap before Musser took back control of the lead. So we didn't have the same scenario with Crow running roadblock early on in the main event. Evan Batt, though, was right there with Musser, able to challenge until Kinnear was able to drive up and pass both of them for the lead. Musser wasn't done yet, though, made one last ditch effort at the line, getting a good run off the I-70 corner and just came up 16 thousandths short of the top spot as Ryan Kinnear was able to pull off the double in Master Shifter.
Yeah, and unlike Saturday where Kinnear had run the full pre-final, of course, tires were used. It was very early in I want to say it might have even been the opening lap where he and Ruck got together.
Yes, it was.
So Kinnear's obviously got those extra laps, 10 extra laps on his tires, free laps to go on his tires. So in much better shape in terms of working his way forward and then ended up coming, as you said, from 10th to P1. Musser, though, with a well-deserved championship, 3 wins, and of course the second on Sunday. And for all in all, just another championship for Jordan Musser. I think, is that 5, David? I think we said in SCUSA Pro Tour.
Yeah, if it wasn't for Carson Morgan, he would be the championship leader in the books with 5. But yeah, the Carson Morgan has trumped him with 6 now.
Oh wow, there you go. And he's got a couple more years to go at it too. So Musser's got to keep digging. Skitchy Barnes ends up in second in the championship points, and Anthony Stifler, who completed the full season on the comp cart, will have the number 3 plate as well. So good job for all 3 of those drivers in Master Shifter.
Yeah, Crow. I don't know if we said Crow finished 4th with Skitchy Barnes finishing 5th.
Indeed, let's wrap up there. Kinnear, Musser, Batt, Crow, and Barnes, the top 5 in the final race on Sunday. X30 Masters, David, if there was any kind of low point on the weekend, it was the fact that we only really had 5 or 6 drivers in the Masters category, which is a shame. But here's your headline: Barrios sweeps weekend for first SCUSA Pro Tour title.
Yeah, Barrios needed to come in and gain points on Jess Peterson, who entered the weekend as the championship leader. Those two went kind of toe-to-toe throughout the weekend. Barrios set fast time in qualifying, won the pre-final, and then another photo finish at the line with Barrios able to edge out Peterson by 12 thousandths of a second to score his first victory on the year in the X30 Master division. Ross Smith ended up finishing in 3rd on the Alonzo with Krishna Bhatt in the Tony Kart in 4th and Frank Runco in the Magic Kart in 5th. That was essentially the championship. Peterson decided to sit it out and go home. And thus Barrios went unchallenged all day on Sunday to 8.8 second margin of victory for the victory, his second on the year, and to solidify the championship with Smith ending up in 2nd and Bott in 3rd spot.
Yeah, and indeed, the Barrios-Peterson drag race to the line was one of those other ones where they just both drivers driving all the way past the braking zone to get to the line in time, and Barrios with essentially winning the championship right there in that drag race. As you said, Peterson did not come back on Sunday.
Yeah, it's a shame to see that happen, but kudos to Barrios for winning the championship. Another one for Rollison Performance Group.
Indeed. Let's move to Mini Swift, and here is the headline: Orjuela wins both days as Vid Montien secures title.
Basically, it was a 3-driver fight all weekend long up front, as we saw Mateus Orjuela out front with both Iliff brothers, Jack and Oscar, going at it nearly every session. Yeah. Excuse me. Oscar Iliff was the top qualifier and was able to score the pre-final win, I think, with Jack right there behind him most of the way, and Mateus right there. They essentially were kind of nose to tail throughout the main event. Jack was actually leading on the final lap, heading into the I-70 corner, needing to get as many points as possible in his championship bid over Enzo Vidmontien. Going into the last lap, I-70 corner, Jack was leading, essentially ran the normal race line, and Oscar was like, I got to go for it. And Oscar went to the inside for the lead. The two made a little bit of contact on the exit of the corner. That allowed Orjuela to slip past both with a nice little over-under run, getting by Jack at first, and then, or getting by, Oscar first, and then Jack at the line. No, sorry, the other way around. He got by both Iliff brothers, essentially, and was able to win the his first SCUSA Pro Tour victory on the season by 28 thousandths of a second.
Yeah, it was a good move to kind of wait for something to happen there in the hairpin, then take advantage of it. It is a long run down. And one of the things we didn't mention from the start of the day, it was interesting because the wind was actually at the driver's back coming out of the I-70 hairpin. So it wasn't like the draft was huge where it was pushing in the wind and you were able to tuck back out and get that slingshot. You really had to time it. It was more about getting the momentum out of the corner. A little bit of a draft, yes, but more momentum out of what was turn 16, right?
I think it helped with the wind at their back, because when you went to pull out to make the pass, you didn't have to have somebody pushing you. You already had the wind at your back. So if you you had that momentum, well, normally if the wind's coming at you or to the side, it puts a little bit more of a turbulence. So you either you want to try and pass on the inside if the wind's coming from the west at that track.
Listen, for me, we didn't see a lot of there wasn't as much drafting, I think, down the straight as we normally see.
Well, because we normally see, like, if a guy gets help, if he gets pushed, that certainly is going to help him move forward. I think guys just had better runs and were able to complete it with the wind going at their backs. It certainly helped. Agree to disagree.
Because I think it's the other way around. I think if the wind's in your face and you're in the draft, you're getting that big, huge pull. You pull out and slingshot. With the wind behind, you're not getting any advantage of the draft. That's
we'll agree to disagree on this.
Agree to disagree on that. Again, so it ends up being Matheus Orjuela with the win. Jack Iliff in third. Oscar in second. Sarah Bradley overall, strong weekend for Sarah on the Nitro Kart. She ends up in fourth spot. Asher Osteen in the fifth position. And interesting, when we all shake it down, we talked about it in the headline. Enzo Vidmontien didn't spend a lot of time in the top five. Very uncharacteristic. He's had such a tremendous season. He kind of was just outside the top five for a majority of the weekend, David.
Yeah, ended up finishing 8th in the main event, finished 11th in the pre-final. So a little bit of struggle bus early on, but compared to what we saw at NOLA and at Utah, where he was certainly one of the more dominant drivers, just didn't quite have everything put together in that same fashion, certainly on Saturday. And then, again, kind of the focus was that on Sunday as well.
Yeah. Santiago Duran with the hard charger in the Saturday event, up 14 spots, started 24th and was able to work his way into the top 10. So good run for Santiago. On Sunday, David, jumping right back into it, and this is when everything was kind of up for grabs. We're doing the calculations. Jack Iliff kind of needs every point he possibly can. He ends up qualifying on the pole position, which gave him what he needed to do. But then an issue for blocking in the pre-final really kind of probably hurt his chance for the title in a big way.
It did. I want to say he was the pre-final winner.
I think so too.
And then a penalty for the blocking essentially took that win away. I'm looking to see what they gave. I want to say it was a 3 second penalty. So it dropped him all the way down to the 6th spot. So I think he finished second. So he did finish behind Matheus.
Okay.
And so again, depending where, it didn't matter where he was, but he needed those points in order to have an opportunity to take over the championship lead in the main event with, as we said, fast lap bonus and winning the race, no matter where Enzo Vidmontien finished. So losing those valuable points in the pre-final essentially gave Enzo Vidmontien the championship going into the main event.
So Matheus Orjuela leading essentially wire to wire, 1.8 seconds the margins he was able to pull away. Oscar Iliff finishing in second, Jack Iliff third. Vivek Canthan finishing off a pretty good overall weekend, coming home fourth. And Isaac Malkit, David, in his mini Swift debut, having run micro for the last couple of years, was pretty good all around, ends up with a top 5 finish on Sunday.
Yeah, I was there for much of Saturday, just didn't quite get into the top 5, but was able to do that on Sunday. So you look at it, Malkit, rookie, Canthan, mini rookie, Jack Iliff, rookie. So 3 rookies in the top 5 on Sunday. And Asher Osteen, another rookie, finished 5th on Saturday. These mini rookies were certainly tough this year.
No doubt. Hard charger in the second race. Diego Guillat on the Parolin, up 16th spot, started 22nd, worked his way into 6th. Vidmontien winning the championship by 48 points over Jack Iliff. Oscar Iliff, 97 points back. So congratulations to Enzo Vidmontien for his championship there. Let's go to Micro Swift. We'll cap off the race report. Here is the headline: wild finish in championship chase as Palacio and Harvick earn first victories.
Yeah, we'll get into the championship chase a little bit later, but first, Saturday's action where Ethan Tovo was able to set fast time in qualifying, but it was Keelan Harvick coming out with the win in the pre-final. Main event was setting up to be what we saw as a wild last lap. I want to say it was Tovo leading and just slipped coming out of, I want to say, the opening corner. Again, we couldn't see it. I think I saw some video of him possibly dropping a wheel and kind of sending everybody shuffling. But as they came around on turn 3, it was Lucas Palacio that was leading the way and was able to kind of drive away unchallenged to what would be his first SCUSA Pro Tour victory by a 1.5 second margin of victory, just based on that little shuffle and craziness to start the last lap.
Yeah, it's the one blind spot for us on top of the second floor of the scale building where we can see turn 1, but we can't see the entry to 2, any of 2, just coming out of 2, and then we have to wait for them. We lose them actually a little bit as they enter into turn number 3. So that makes it tough for us to see there. But I remember calling the action. All of a sudden, there comes Palacio's comp cart out of turn 3 as the leader, and he goes on to get that 1.5 second win, as you said, over Keelan Harvick. Jackson Gibson ended up finishing in 3rd. Augustus Toniolo 4th and Caleb Tartar 5th. Tartar very strong throughout the weekend, as I expected and I mentioned in our Outlap podcast. But Augustus Toniolo, David, right in the championship fight and a P4 position, good for Toniolo in terms of heading into Sunday's action.
Yeah, it helped him keep a little bit of an advantage over Gia Mateo Rousseau, who ended up finishing in the 6th position as Ethan Tovo dropped to the 7th spot there in that last lap skirmish. So, Toniolo keeping the championship chase alive. Rousseau keeping himself in the hunt as well. And again, everything kind of boiled down to the last lap and the last few inches on Sunday.
We'll cap off Saturday by indeed stating that Caleb Tartar 5th was the hard charger, up 15 positions, 20th up to 5th for Caleb. But then David, he kind of rolled right into Sunday. Tartar had some good speed and qualified on pole to begin the final round of the Pro Tour.
Yeah, carried that momentum over into Sunday with fast time and qualifying. Toniolo, though, ended up winning the pre-final, needing to gain as many points as possible to help him score the championship in the category. I'm looking to see where Rousseau finished in that race. So Rousseau finished 4th. So it provided a bit of drama going into the main event of basically having to watch each lap, each corner, where the drivers were on the racetrack to see what position they were in order to determine who was leading the championship at that point.
Yeah, there was a ton of action going back and forth. Rousseau would lead. Toniolo would be back to 5th. A couple of guys coming from further back. Toniolo would find himself up front. It was wild. The entire final laps of that race were absolutely crazy. In the end,
essentially,
let's talk about the final lap, Dave. Yeah,
I was going to say the three drivers were able to kind of break away with the 2 championship contenders sitting together right there as well. So the top 5 kind of split up on that last lap. We had Murphy, Tovo, and Harvick kind of break away for a little bit as Rousseau and Toniolo were right there kind of sizing each other up on the final lap to try and see who could get to the line ahead of one another. Because again, Toniolo finished fourth, Rousseau would finish fifth, it would change the championship, and we still had fast time bonus points to go in as well too, which unfortunately neither of them were able to do, as Troy Ferguson was able to do that. So again, each corner we were like, who's in what position, and really I think what Toniolo needed was a couple more spots to be able to do that. Unfortunately, fell a bit short, but yeah, continue on with how it finished.
Drag race to the line again for Harvick, right? Harvick ended up getting the win by what, 0.03 of a second?
Yeah, it was a drag race to the line. Somehow, they were swapping positions left and right. Tovo was there, and Murphy was there, and it was like, okay, who's going to be a partner with who? And I almost want to think it was almost a three-way or three-driver, three-wide finish.
I think so too.
Unfortunately, with Harvick able to edge both of those drivers out by 32 thousandths of a second.
Yeah, I think he was third coming into the final corner as well. I remember when we interviewed Keelan, I think he was kind of surprised by the way it all kind of shook down, that he was able to get that run and was able to get the win. He ends up with the victory. Tristan Murphy in second, Ethan Tovo third. And on the strength of a fourth place finish, David, Gianmatteo Rousseau winning the championship over Toniolo.
Yeah, again, just got the right positions that he needed to on the weekend in order to maximize his championship efforts. Obviously, the two victories at the Winter Nationals certainly helped. Toniolo not able to score a victory, so that might have possibly hurt him in the long run had they tied. But in the end, it was Rousseau who was able to score the championship by 16 points over Toniolo.
Pretty good day for the Nitro Kart crew there as well on Sunday. First, second, third, and fourth in the Sunday final. Troy Ferguson, as you mentioned, fast lap of the race, and that allowed him to be the hard charger, moving up 21 positions from 28th into 7th. And yes, Rousseau with the championship over Toniolo by 21 points, and Tristan Murphy, a good season all told, 105 points back in third. Well, that wraps up the race report section, folks. When we get back after this break, we'll wrap things up. We'll look at the Constructors' Championship, and we'll take an opportunity to look at the EKN Trackside Live race calendar to find out where we'll be heading over the next couple of months. Stay tuned. We'll cap off this edition of the Debrief after this break. Powered by technology, DID racing chains have a worldwide reputation for superior quality and reliability. Meticulously engineered and manufactured in Japan, DID Genuine Parts are the world's #1 original parts supplier for Japanese and European motorcycle manufacturers. A rich racing tradition where results speak for themselves, DID prides itself on engineering the most technologically advanced chains on the market to help you excel on and off the track. DID's SDH pin treatment creates an extremely hard chromium carbide layer on the pin surface that houses a soft inner core to absorb extreme shock loads. DID's 219 HTZ racing chain boasts this SDH pin technology, which leads to longer chain life as well as excellent energy transmission to the wheels. Available in the gorgeous gold, the 219 HTZ is the ultimate racing kart chain. Pick up a DID chain at your local dealer today, because when winning is the only thing that matters, go with DID. In Colorado, the place to go for karts and parts and everything else you need to go racing is Forward Direction Motorsports. It's Colorado's premier karting company. Owned and operated by veteran karter Greg Welch, Forward Direction Motorsports is located in Centennial, Colorado. FDM has been developed to provide customer service and product sales at all levels and in both in-person and online. We're a brick and mortar shop that serves as the hub for karting in Colorado, and we're a gateway to new racers who can come in and learn about the sport. We also have an online store and can ship all over the country. We can also service all makes and models of engines and karts. Whatever you race, we can take care of you. Forward Direction Motorsports is a comp kart dealer, an authorized Rotax service center, and we can fully support all Briggs 206 racers. We support local karting 100%, and we also have a race team that takes our customers to major regional and national events on the West Coast. From kart prep and coaching to full arrive and drive packages, we offer something for everyone. You don't have to live in Colorado to experience Full Direction Motorsports' vast experience or dedication to customer service. Our online store continues to expand its inventory, and the products you need are just a mouse click away. Head to fdmkarting.com the next time you need parts and equipment fast. We ship daily. Shop online or come to the store to check out our inventory and visit our service department. Head to fdmkarting.com to learn more about our products and services or call us direct at 720-323-3650. Jensen Button, Jos Verstappen, and Roman Grosjean, all former Technokart drivers and champions. Get ready, America, for the Technokart invasion. Formed in the 1970s, the Italian manufacturer has new representation in the U.S., and they're already winning races and championships. Technokart USA is owned and operated by top national masters drivers Laurent Mardan and Christian Vomir, and they are focused on building the new Technokart dealer network. The Technokart line hits all the different engine platforms in American karting, beginning with the TR28 Special for 4-cycle racing. The TR30 is Techno's chassis for 100cc and 125cc tag competition, and we also have a TR Cadet and Kid Kart for the drivers coming into the younger age groups of the sport. In 2021, Technokart USA will be attending the Rock Cup Florida Winter Tour, United States Pro Kart Series and Route 66 programs, the Rock the Rio and SCUSA SuperNationals in Las Vegas, and will continue to support our home track, the Badger Kart Club. Race-winning Arrive and Drive programs are available, and kart shops interested in adding a new quality chassis to their lineup should contact us today. Be sure to follow Technokart USA LLC on Facebook and Instagram. Welcome back to our final segment here on the EKN Debrief, episode number 83, as we gave you the full race report of the Superkarts USA Pro Tour Summer Nationals from Newcastle. David, let's wrap this thing up. Season record numbers on the weekend, 253 entries in total, including the largest pro shifter field ever in the Pro Tour.
Yeah, that's the numbers really to kind of focus on. And again, hopefully we'll carry that momentum come 2022 next year when we're at the Winter Nationals, and hopefully we'll be able to see entries again in the 250 range, and then large fields like we saw in the Pro Shifter and hopefully Master Shifter division as well.
Let's focus on some of the teams and drivers and talk about what they were able to accomplish. Rolison Performance Group, David, their 4th straight championship in X30 Senior. That's unbelievable. Yeah,
again, as we mentioned earlier, 2 with Ryan Norberg, last year with Bryson Morris, and now this year with Hannah Greenmeyer scoring as the second female driver to score a championship in the SCUSA Pro Tour, and as you said, the first in one of the major headline categories in the Pro Tour.
Here's 3 numbers we'll use: 3, 5, and 6. 3, AJ Myers becomes the first 3-time champion pro shifter as he backs up his championship from last year.
That's it's astounding. You talk Fritz Leisman doubled up. I want to think Joey didn't double up. See, now I got to pull out the spreadsheet. I didn't have that spreadsheet open.
I knew you were going to say that.
This is what happens when you get old. I'm understanding it, Rob. You just
much information in the hard drive, buddy.
Yeah, there's a lot. Leisman was able to double up. He was the only one to be able to double up, and AJ matched that with his championship last year and then winning in 2018. So now in the 12-year history, now becomes the first 3-time champion in the headline shifter kart category.
5 number for Jordan Musser, 5 career titles in what has been a story. I mentioned this in the broadcast, an absolutely storied career. You think about his success in the Rotax program, 5 titles in the SCUSA Pro Tour.
Amazing. He certainly has to go down as probably one of the top karters of all time. We'll have that discussion another time, but his name certainly has to be in the mix. Going from being one of the top Rotax drivers in the 2000s, and now to be one of the top shifter kart drivers in the Masters age. And again, he has the ability to battle with the young punks as well over the last few years as well. That's too. It. So he would have had another one last year had he not raced Pro 2 possibly. So.
That's true. That's very true. That's very true.
Yeah.
Ran the Pro 2 class last year. All right, 6. Speaking of the youth, Carson Morgan defends both championships in junior that he won last year, the X30 Junior and KA100 Junior. David, 6 career championships for Carson Morgan in SCUSA Pro Tour competition. That's absolutely stellar.
Yeah, I think we kind of have to put it in the new era, because previously we didn't have 2 junior categories. We didn't have, 2 senior categories like we do with X30 Senior and KA100. So it's a different era, because, again, I think we could have had some junior drivers in the past that were able to double up, but it does not take away from the fact of Carson Morgan and his performances over the last essentially 5 years, from when he doubled up in the mini Swift category in 2017 and 2018, and now with back-to-back 2 years in a row in the X30 Senior and KA100 Junior. I'm sorry, X30 Junior and KA100 Junior categories is phenomenal.
Yeah, no doubt about that. Let's have a look, David, at the Constructors' Championship. 8 different brands able to score victories at Newcastle last weekend.
Yeah, Cosmic coming out as the top chassis on the weekend, earning 6 victories. That's 2 in X30 Senior with Cicero and Norberg. That's 2 with Mario Barrios. Both KA100 Senior wins with Austin Garrison along with Thomas Annunziata on the Cosmic brand. Tony Kart, that's the Carson Morgan brand now, as he won 4 races on the Tony Kart, 2 with Parolin with Matias Oruela in the mini Swift category. Ricardo Kart has 2 with Ryan Kinnear, winning both of the Master Shifter division. Burrell Art picking up 1 with Jake French in Pro Shifter on Saturday. Comp Kart picking up 1 with Lucas Palacio in Micro. Bannock picking up 1. Trying to think of that wasn't Bannock, was it? I don't know what the Bannock was. Sorry, it was supposed to be Nitro Kart. My apologies.
That's it.
Nitro Kart with Micro and Keelan Harvick, and then Magic Kart with the victory by AJ Myers on Sunday.
So indeed, there you have it. 8 brands winning on the action. David, let's jump into the EKN Trackside Live race calendar presented today by Briggs Racing. Briggs & Stratton is powering Operation Grassroots around the world. No other engine manufacturer is getting new and returning drivers to the kart track like the Briggs 206. The out-of-the-box performance of the Briggs 206 provides the most fun, excitement, and reliability of any karting engine on the global market. Learn more about the 206 engine and the history behind Briggs & Stratton's century-long commitment to motorsports at www.briggsracing.com. Briggs & Stratton Racing, what powers you? All right, David, we're literally looking to kind of cap things off here with, I think, 4 events to complete the season. 3 of them, you're going to be trackside, essentially doing the play-by-play with our EKN Trackside Live. 1, you'll be trackside with the helmet as well, which is cool. First and foremost, back at the Labor Day Classic, September 4th and 5th, the Rock Island Grand Prix.
Yeah, looking forward to getting back to the Quad Cities and Rock Island and seeing karts on the city streets of Rock Island, getting the fun on and off the racetrack all weekend long. Just really happy to see that event come back after missing it last year. It's I can keep my streak alive, just like a lot of the people who attend the Indianapolis 500. I can keep my streak alive at the Rock Island Grand Prix.
Nice. Then moving into the middle of October, you're back trackside again for the USPKS finale at GoPro Motorplex in Mooresville, October 15, 16, 17.
Yep, another weekend we'll have the spreadsheet busy with championships on the line in those 7 categories racing there. And again, weather could be a major factor. Being in October, it could either be cold or it could be rainy and cold. We'll have to wait and see.
Right. Then, of course, another event that is back after a year's hiatus, December 1st to the 5th, the 24th running of the Superkarts USA SummerNationals, back to the Rio All-Suite Hotel and Casino in Las Vegas. David, I'll be there with you. We'll be trackside. We'll be bundled up because it'll probably be a little chilly in the mornings, maybe a little chilly during the day for all we know. But I'll be super excited to get back to another Supernats.
Yes, Vegas, Supernats. Not much more we can say, and again, happy to be going back, and again, just anticipating that opening weekend in December.
Yeah, and last but not least, one of our actual trackside events, David, you'll get a chance to don the helmet. I'm feeling, again, a little disappointed here. I missed it last year because of a conflict. I'll miss it again this year because of the cancellation of Toronto. Means I'll be at Mid-Ohio for the Road to Indy finale. but the Cup Karts Grand Nationals 5 at Newcastle Motorsports Park, October 1st, 2nd, and 3rd. Promises to be the biggest one ever. And that's why I'm pissed I'm going to miss it again. But I think you're going to have a great time being trackside. And of course, we'll cover that action from Newcastle.
Yeah, the Cup Karts North America North Tour just wrapped up their season at East Lansing here last weekend. The South program has a rescheduled event at Bushnell this weekend, I believe. So, the programs continue to keep growing. And obviously the Briggs and Stratton 206 engine continues to help bring racers back to the racetrack, get them off the couch and racing again. And we'll likely see some record numbers again at the Newcastle Motorsports Park.
Yeah, no doubt about it, folks. That wraps up this edition of the EKN Debrief. We do appreciate you tuning in. These broadcasts, obviously, excellent for if you're working on the cart in the shop, you're heading to work, coming home, whatever it may be. Always great for the commute, but we do thank you so much for tuning in. Big thank you as well to our presenting sponsor of the broadcast here, this particular episode, Leading Edge Motorsports, Greg Bell, a big supporter of everything we do at ekartingnews.com. But that wraps it up again. It was a tremendous weekend at Newcastle Motorsports Park for the final round of the Superkarts USA Pro Tour. Well-deserved champions walking away with those number one plates and titles in SCUSA Pro Tour action. Those drivers on the top level for SCUSA Racing. We'll keep looking forward to the SummerNationals this December. We look forward to getting back to that as well. But otherwise, we're done here on the EKN Radio Network. On behalf of David Cole, my name's Rob Howden. Bye for now.